Hello everybody, it's Sukasa, and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. So, I think this is part 3. Anyway, so we've talked about the polish of the game, the graphics of it, and speaking of graphics, look at this. The daytime is just beginning, it's coming out of night, and the sun is starting to rise, and like a lot of mornings you would experience in real life, it got like the red sky, the red clouds, because of the sunlight. I'm sure you've seen that in real life before. That's mirrored here in this game, and it doesn't happen every morning. That's what's really cool about the game, is the level of immersion that they've been able to pull off due to little features like this that just make it feel so real. It's very dynamic. Like I said, this doesn't happen every morning. The last game morning, it was actually very foggy, and I didn't want to start a video like that because I thought maybe you guys would think that the draw distance was set low, or it didn't look good with the draw distance, because you couldn't see past like this little hut right here, like it was all just like white back there. But that was actually fog, like the fog rolled in as the sun came up. So every morning is different, every night is different. It's a very dynamic world and very realistic. The weather effects are mind-blowing. They've been able to incorporate these sort of dynamic immersion features that aren't obtrusive. They're not in your face like, hey, look at me, look what I've done, how cool is this? It's not up in your face, it's not annoying, and the big thing is, it doesn't degrade performance at all. The weather effects are just so incredible. From time to time, like the weather will just change randomly like it does in real life. Like dark clouds will start to roll in and it will become overcast, and then it will start to rain. And there's different. Actually, sometimes it doesn't rain. Sometimes it's just overcast and clouds are rolling, and then they'll later on they'll roll out a couple of in-game hours later, and with the weather, with the rain, there's different stages of the rain. There's like a light drizzle where the rain's just coming straight down, and then there's a strong, like stormy one where it's like raining sideways and the wind blows. And when the wind blows, not only it blows like the leaves and stuff around, but you can see my robe right here. Let me turn the UI off. You can see my robe, and it's just pretty steady right now. It's a very light breeze going on. It's barely moving. But whenever the rains come down sideways, the robe will be like blowing off to the side, and it's very dynamic and just so engrossing and immersive in a way that I have never ever experienced in an MMO before. I've been playing MMOs for over 15 years, since UO with Ultima Online, with top-down 2D graphics, and all the way through. I played every major MMO you can freaking name, just about. At least Western ones, like Star Wars: The Old Republic, Star Wars Galaxies, WoW, Lineage. Freaking so many of them I can't even think of them all. Lord of the Rings Online, just you name it, I've played it, and I've never ever experienced in any of them a true level of immersion that you get in a single player game like The Witcher or Elder Scrolls. But with this game in Final Fantasy XIV, I truly feel immersed in a way that even a lot of single player games can't pull off. Really, for Final Fantasy XIV, as an MMORPG, I truly feel that, without being hyperbolous, this game is the first MMORPG I've ever felt truly deserves the latter half of that title, the RPG bit. It really does. It feels like an RPG should, in every way. There are some shortcomings compared to the newer games when it comes to the dialogues. Whenever you talk to a quest dialogue guy or just talk to a random guy, there's no voiceovers. You see what pops up is a very Final Fantasy themed quest box down here. That's, again, it's not obtrusive. It's not in your face. It's just minimal and functional right down there at the bottom. It doesn't break the immersion on the screen, which is very nice. And it's very Final Fantasy, where it just shows you one sentence at a time, or one paragraph, and then you click and it moves on to the next one. Well, this guy, because it's not a quest giver, doesn't do that, but maybe this one will. Yeah, see. Yeah, exactly. So it's very Final Fantasy, but there's no voiceover. He doesn't... Whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic. He doesn't say anything. Quest dialogues, they don't say anything voiceover-wise. So it's got... I guess you could say that's a downside, but I don't feel like it is, honestly. I thought, whenever I first got Star Wars The Old Republic, that, oh my god, all these cutscenes, and with every quest, and all this voiceover, this is so cool, this is like going to be the new standard. But then, after a while, it became burdensome and tiresome. Every single quest you started, you had to watch this cutscene before. At least I felt like I had to watch it to know what was going on, and just like, they put all this work into it, I gotta watch it. But it just felt burdensome after a while, because if something was going on around you in real life, you had like family saying something, or talking in the background, your TV was up too loud or something, you could easily miss one bit of what the voiceover guy was saying, and there was no going back. So it became very burdensome to me. So I much prefer, actually, just having this written dialogues on the quests, that if something distracts me for a second and I lose my train of thought, I can just back up and reread it. So that's nice to me. I like that. I think it's better for the format of the MMO, at least. For single-player games, yeah, it's really cool to have those sort of things. But for an MMO, I think it's better to have the text dialogue, honestly. Also, another really cool thing that I like to do personally is I treat it like I do books. This might be a little hard to explain, but whenever I read a book, I read the character's lines. I make in my mind a play out of it. I use my imagination, and I read in a tempo. The guy's lines. I read his dialogue in the right tempo and with a dialect, and I make up a character's voice in my head. So, like this guy here, right? The way he looks and the way he speaks, like ye and all that, I take all of that into account, and I create a character with a unique voice in my head to read his lines with, and I make like a little play out of it. That's what I do when I read books, and I like to be able to do that in MMOs. I like that I like role play with myself in my own head, and I like to do that. So I really don't mind having text dialogues. But anyway. That's enough for that. I don't even know if that made any sense. I hope so. But oh my god, look at the sun coming up, and the lighting effects off of that. That is gorgeous. Those little light beams, kind of like how Miasmatha does it. I've never seen an MMO pull that off either. And the light coming through the tree. You can see the beam. I don't know if you can see that actually after compression, but the light beams are coming through the leaves there, and you can see it. And again, this is not the maximum setting. I actually have the ambient occlusion, the SSAO, which is what these lighting effects are based on. I actually had that set to low, if you can believe that or not. It's set to weak. There's a strong setting, which makes it look a lot better too, but for FPS performances, because of the laptop, it can't quite handle that. I also should be said, I have these shadow effects set to low as well. Yeah. Anyway, though, that gives you a little bit of the idea, though, of the immersion level of the game. Like I said, though, I've never had this kind of immersion in an MMO. So, if when it comes to RPGs, if immersion is important to you, and all of that, then this is a very strong suit for the game. The dialogues and the story is very well written. It is so excellent. If you played Final Fantasy games in the past, like Final Fantasy 7 or 8, 9, 10, 10-2 even, they all had such strong, well-written stories, and that is not changed at all. It is a true, well-written Final Fantasy story in here, and all of the quests and dialogues exude that. The other really cool thing too, before we go, I want to talk about the lore. The lore in this game is so mind-blowingly detailed and and everywhere. That's where a lot of the immersion comes from for me personally, is that everything is explained and everything is logical, and they tell you everything about everything if you want to learn about it at least. In any other MMO, whenever you mouse over a mana potion, it's just going to say restores X amount of mana points. Here, though, whenever I mouse over this mana potion, this ether, it actually has, it tells you, restores 28% of my mana points, but it has a story behind it. It explains how this mana potion was made, and how it works and why it works. It says processed via the alchemical extraction of etheric essence that occurs in elemental crystals. The contents of this vial will instantly restore your mana points. How cool is that? That even little items have a backstory to them, and it explains how the item works and why it works. In no other game would it do that. No other MMO, at least. Maybe a single-player game would have that sort of detail, but not an MMO. And another example of this is the fast travel, the teleport. Whenever you teleport from one area in a town to another, or from one town to another, in any other MMO, or in most games in general, it would just say, you teleport to the other town through quote-unquote magic. And it wouldn't explain how or why. Here, though, there was actually, I think it was voiced over, because it was part of the very early tutorial. There are some voiceovers in the very early cutscenes. Anyway, though, it was explaining how the teleport system works, and it said that the ether crystal in the city is its length, because spanning like a spider's web throughout the world is an ethereal network of ether, and sages in eras long past, they learned how to commune through the elements and through nature with the ether that permeates the world, and after learning how to permeate and or how to control and commune with the ether, they learned how to transmute themselves into the ether and travel through it, and then through their learning and teaching, they shared with everyone how to do this, and that's how we can use these aether crystals to teleport. I mean, there was a detailed backstory and lore to minor game features like teleportation and mana potions. I mean, that sort of attention to detail and lore just exponentially increases the immersion of the game, and it really allows you to get into it, like I said, in a way that I've not seen an MMO ever be able to pull off. So that's a big thing for me personally, and if it is for you too, again, this game is so worth checking out. Anyway, though, I've definitely got to end it here. It's getting a bit long for the file size, I'm sure, but that just gives you an idea of the immersion of it, and the whole Final Fantasy aspect of it is definitely intact. So anyway, though, that's it for now. I'll be back with another episode, and we'll talk a bit more about classes and characters, and how you can customize those, and what classes you can be, and all of that. Until next time, though, I hope you did enjoy. Don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe for more. I hope you all have a good one. It's like, hey, look at me, look what I've done. How cool is this?